Welcome back to Hardball. 24 hours after Friday's bombshell New York Times story, the Washington Post dropped its own explosive reporting. According to government officials, President Trump sought to hide details of his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin from his own staff and other government officials. U.S. officials told the Post that, quote, there is no detailed record, even in classified files, of Trump's face-to-face interactions with the Russian leader at 5 locations over the past 2 years. Trump reportedly went to dramatic lengths. He took possession of the notes from a translator after a meeting with Putin in Hamburg, Germany, and he ordered another to keep the details of the meetings private. Trump's actions effectively stifled his administration's ability to understand what exactly Putin talked about. According to the Associated Press, President Trump has been irked, by the way, by the reporting by the Times the Post. Who wouldn't be? Well, today he pushed back on the Post story.
It's a lot of fake news. That was a very good meeting. It was actually a very successful meeting. And I have those meetings with everything. I just know nothing about it.
Well, neither do we. And for more, I'm joined by Michael McFaul, former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, and Jonathan Lemire, White House reporter for the Associated Press. Ambassador, tell us what normally happens when two top chiefs of state get together representing their governments. What happens normally when they meet, even if they're sitting in a side room somewhere?
So normally, and remember, I worked 3 years at the White House with President Obama before becoming ambassador, so I was in a lot of those meetings. You have a couple of advisors, usually the national security advisor, usually the chief Russia person. That was my job. And oftentimes your chief Russia advisor takes the notes and records a memcom, a memorandum of communication that will then be distributed to other senior members in the government so that they know what happened. And then you usually have an interpreter. Remember, that interpreter's job is to interpret the conversation. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what they do. I know both of them that work for the president now. Their job is not to take notes to hand off to somebody else. So even if we did get their notes, it wouldn't be a real, a transcript of what happened.
So this president doesn't like having a note taker there, right?
And it's shocking. I don't understand how it serves the national interest. His job, he's not just representing President Trump, he's representing the United States of America. His job is to advance our national interests. And to do that, you have to let the rest of your team know what you're saying so that when his Secretary of Defense meets with his counterpart, he knows what the president said. I just do not understand the logic if we're talking about advancing American national interests.
Well, what do you find distinctive about Trump in regard to this Post story that he wanted the notes for himself? What do you make of that? Whatever the notes they were they from the interpreter, just cursory notes as the person was translating different sentences and trying to remember the full sentence or whatever, why would he want to grab that for himself, whether from the interpreter or from a note taker? Why did he keep them for himself? What would be the motive?
The motive, of course, would be to not let the rest of his government know what he was talking about. And here's the other big thing that I think is important context about President Trump. His administration has a pretty good policy towards Russia. I actually support most of it. They're tough on Russia. They have sanctions. They've bolstered NATO. They support Ukraine. But there's one guy in the administration that doesn't sign up for it. That's the President of the United States. And time again, they will take a tough action, and he himself will not support it. That suggests there's a big disconnect between what the president wants to do with Putin and what the rest of his government wants to do.
Well, you're a diplomat skilled at interpreting people's motives. The president could have grand motives, which I thought he did for a while there. That he was going to try to cut a grand deal with the East-West against the South, dealing with terrorism. We've heard about that for decades, that somehow there's going to, instead of the East against the West, it's going to be the East and West against the South, against the terrorists, against the aspiring powers in the South, well, we know who they are, the terrorists. And yet, now people say on this show a few moments ago, it was all about money. Where are you on that? What's Trump's motive for siding with Putin?
Well, first, to the point you made earlier, Chris, I agree that if there was concrete achievements from these secretive meetings and we got a breakthrough with the Russians for things that were good for us, I would support it. The truth is he hasn't had a successful meeting with Vladimir Putin. had no successes with the Russians. He's had a lot of setbacks, things that I think are not in America's national interest. And that suggests that he's doing something else. And I don't know. I want to be clear. You know, there's lots of circumstantial evidence about the money they took in 2008, and maybe he's beholden. I don't want to connect those dots till I know the evidence, and that's why we need Mr. Mueller to finish his job.
Do you think it's compromise? Do you think it's the dossier in the hotel room?
I honestly don't know. I do know that that's the way Putin does his business. He gives money to people for free and then creates leverage, and he gathers compromise on all kinds of people in Russia, in other countries. If you stay at the Ritz-Carlton, everything that happens in the Ritz-Carlton goes to the Kremlin. That I know for sure. I just don't know what he has on President Trump.
Wow. Well, the Washington Post is also reporting now that in July of 2018, several Trump administration officials were unable to get a reliable readout of what was discussed during a bilateral summit between Putin and Trump in Helsinki. President Trump and Putin met for 2 hours in private with only their translators, their interpreters present. Hours after that meeting with Putin by his side, President Trump seemed to buy Putin's assurances that Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election. Let's watch this.
Would you now, with the whole world watching, tell President Putin, would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
He sounds like a defense attorney, and his client is Russia. Of course your client always says, I didn't do it. Right. And he says, my client said he didn't do it, and I believe him.
What was so striking
and his client being Moscow.
What was so striking about Helsinki is that he was given the opportunity to ask who he believed, whether he believed Vladimir Putin or his own U.S. intelligence agents, all of whom say Russia interfered with the 2016 election.
And he was DNI at the time. Right. He was Director of National Intelligence.
Exactly right. And did so to help President Trump. And he did not answer the question. In fact, he sided with Vladimir Putin. And since then, since that meeting, that 2-hour private meeting, which not only the media did not receive any kind of readout on, top members of the president's own administration don't know what was discussed.
Is it your sense as a reporter, and you're AP, which is absolute straight stuff, and you go by day-to-day accumulation of information, does the information add up to that he's working for the Russians?
I mean, it's impossible to know that right now, but it certainly raises a lot of questions, as does this terrific reporting by
What's an alternative explanation for his behavior that he's not working for the Russians?
I'll offer what the White House says. They say that this is an administration that we know is beset by leaks, including of foreign leader calls, highly sensitive calls, one with the president of Mexico, one with the president of Australia. Those all found their way into the media.
Kellyanne's
and they're saying that the president, because he's fearful of that, particularly with someone like Vladimir Putin, where he knows there's a lot of scrutiny on that meeting. Therefore, he took these steps to prevent it.
So he doesn't trust his interpreter?
He doesn't entrust. I think he doesn't entrust many people in his administration. He feels like he's been burned by leaks repeatedly, and he's trying to cut down on that. That is your charitable answer for Trump.
Test on this? Does he do it with every other leader? When he meets with Theresa May, or he meets with Macron, or he's meeting with Justin Trudeau. In every case, he grabs the notes and hides them in his pocket.
The leaks have certainly slowed down.
I'm asking, does he grab the notes in every meeting or just with Putin?
What we don't know is if he takes these extreme steps with the other leaders.
Well, I'd like to find that reporting out.
The ones with Vladimir...
That would be my test case. Thank you, U.S. Ambassador Michael McFaul, as always, sir. And Jonathan Lemire, you're writing the story here. Up next.